have fun with that one, Liberals, because when you tell a lie, you take on debt. And sooner or later, it's time to pay up. We're going to be going over a relatively balanced report from CTV News on Mark Carney and his quote-unquote abolition of the carbon tax. So, you know, it's always newsworthy to see the news being relatively unbiased.
New Prime Minister is set to meet with European leaders this week to strengthen economic ties. Mark Carney leaves tomorrow for France and the UK to explore deeper bilateral trade options. He's also scheduled to meet with King Charles. His new cabinet already making moves, ditching the consumer carbon tax, though critics are skeptical of any savings Canadians may see. CTV's Colton Prale has more.
With the stroke of a pen, Justin Trudeau's consumer carbon tax is out, and a new Liberal vision is in. Today, the party launching a new ad highlighting Prime Minister Mark Carney's day one change, dropping the consumer cost of carbon to zero as of April 1st, but keeping the industrial tax.
He will keep the carbon tax law in place, even while he temporarily hides the carbon tax from the gas pump.
While the Conservatives argue Carney will bring back the tax after an election, economists say the biggest political impact is that many Canadians may not feel the savings.
On a week-to-week basis, these things become rounding errors. The reality is that if we're talking about less than a Tim Hortons cup of coffee a week, this isn't going to be the life-changing exercise.
Estimates from the Parliamentary Budget Officer last fall show the average family will save a few $100s next fiscal year, with the most savings in Ontario and the fewest in Saskatchewan. Currently, the $80 per ton tax adds about 17 cents to every litre of gas. But consumers may not see a major difference at the pumps for long, with the switch to summer gas coming soon.
I expect an increase of about 5 cents a liter, which might offset some of that cost. And of course, summertime demand might impact that, but that would be true of every year. No matter what happens, there would be a net decrease.
Good afternoon.
Meanwhile, premiers are responding. David Eby says he'll remove British Columbia's consumer carbon tax, while in Alberta, Danielle Smith isn't celebrating.
He's made his views very clear about he not wanting a transparent carbon tax. He wants a hidden one. So I don't think it does Alberta any good if we end up seeing massive increases to industrial carbon tax.
For now, Canada's industrial carbon tax is staying in place. Mark Carney has promised to improve and tighten the system if elected and extend it until 2035. Critics say that could wipe out any gains Canadians make when the consumer portion is cut.
Okay. So here's the really interesting thing that's going on here. While the liberal propaganda is actually becoming a victim of itself. Here's why. So you saw the map and you saw what they were saying the like average savings for Canadians was going to be. It was pretty low, right? It's like $477 for Ontario, you know, $300 in some of the other provinces, $200. That's pretty low. Why is that low?
Is it because they're still giving out the carbon rebate checks?
No.
Or no?
Nope. It's because they are still ignoring the second part of the Parliamentary Budget Office report.
So they're fudging the numbers again?
Well, in a way that's hurting them. Because, remember, the Liberals were saying 80% of Canadians are going to be getting more money back. And here's the problem. They can't tell Canadians all of the actual money that they were going to be saving as a result of killing the carbon tax, because that would completely contradict 7 years of talking points from the Liberals.
Oh.
So they're only talking right now about the savings that you're going to literally see at the gas pumps. They're not talking about all of the indirect costs on food, on products, on home heating, any of that. So they're actually becoming a victim of their own talking points at this point. So they can't actually celebrate this as the victory it literally is, and the victory that the Conservatives would be celebrating if it was in fact abolished by them.
But I don't really think it's a victory. My opinion is that this is a election tactic because they are canceling everything April 1st. That's why you haven't seen a difference at the pump yet. And then they are also sending out a carbon rebate check on April 1st, to my understanding. And then that'll be the last one. So, like, why April 1st? Well, because we're going to have an election the end of April or early May if everything that we've been hearing comes to pass. So it's kind of like what Doug Ford did with the, was it $400 checks or $200 checks? $200 checks that he sent out to everybody right before the election. It's like a bribe. And to me, that's insulting. I don't think governments should be permitted to do that.
But this is the bizarre thing, right? Like, because they're doing this to try and say, see, we're responding to Canadians' concerns by getting rid of the carbon tax.
Why haven't you been responding the last 9 years? Canadians have been screaming and crying since at least 2000 that things are getting way too expensive. Yeah. Or 2020. I was just thinking of a year that ended in 0.
Yeah.
My goodness, 2020 already. Okay. But yeah, since 2020, that things are way too expensive. We're paying way too much money for groceries. I mean, I remember before COVID, we used to be able to do groceries for around $100 a week for the family, and now it's closer to $250 a week. The average Canadian family spends something like over $1,000 on groceries every single month. We spend something like $17,000 a year on groceries for a family of 4. Now we're a family of 3, so we don't spend quite that much, but it's very expensive. It should not be that expensive.
No, but if the Liberals are trying to spin this as look at what we've done for you, but this is the problem. They have to go on the same numbers that they were trying to gaslight Canadians with this whole time.
Right, but if I steal your wallet and then go, oh, here's $20 back, like, are you helping me?
Well, put it this way. The act of reducing the carbon tax to 0 is going to help. It is going to help.
I mean, it's better to stay in my pocket than it is the government's pocket. But again, I think this is a bribe before the election.
It 100% is.
And then who knows what they're going to do after that. I don't want to give them that power. That's why I'm not going to vote Liberal.
Well, and we already know that what Carney has said he's going to. He may bring back the consumer carbon tax. We don't know.
He might bring it back worse. He might bring it back in a different form. He might start tariffing all countries that don't have a consumer carbon tax, like the United States. And that's going to make everything more expensive, like China.
And he has said that he's going to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to develop a carbon border adjustment mechanism. What that does is promote jobs here at home. It prevents carbon leakage abroad. And it aligns Canada with our allies who are still engaged in the fight against climate change.
He's going to be putting on a carbon tax tariff in the middle of a trade war, by the way, in the middle of a trade war. And he's seen how Donald Trump responds to tariffs himself. So what do you think is going to happen there? We put tariffs or escalated tariffs on China. China responded in kind. What do you think is going to happen there? And you're going to put a tariff on Mexico for the carbon tax. What do you think Mexico's going to do? Like, this is just, and this is from The Economist, folks. The Economist is saying, let's put tariffs on everything just for the environment. And never mind that, he then wants to balloon the industrial carbon tax with any of the costs that they were getting from the consumer carbon tax. Only this time, they're not giving any money back to you. So this is where I think that this is hilarious, that they're shooting themselves in the foot, and all of the people that were analyzing the carbon tax only on the fuel surcharge at the pumps, like this, economics professor, they're now pointing at the Liberals saying, you're not really giving anything back. So it's absolutely hilarious that they're doing this. And
well, if you lie, you're going to get caught in it eventually, right? And that's what's happening.
Right. So have fun with that one, Liberals, because you're when you tell a lie, you take on debt, and sooner or later, it's time to pay up.